The top stories tonight in Y News. The Commission on Elections plans to annul the existing national list of registered voters before the 2022 national and local elections.
A lawmaker is optimistic that the government will finally stop and prohibit the operations of Philippine offshore gaming operators or POGOs in the country.
One of the gunman points an ex-barangay chairman in Pasay City as alleged mastermind behind the shooting incident of photojournalist Joshua Abiad.
And Ukraine seeks clarity over its membership to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization alliance.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, the 11th of July, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harleen Delgado.
First in the news. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. acknowledges the ability of Filipino healthcare workers and world leaders have confidence in their ability. However, despite the success, the president says that the Philippines has become a victim of its own success as it still faces a shortage of nurses. Gladys Tawabi will tell us why.
Filipino workers have been recognized for being hardworking, including Filipino nurses.
The confidence among world leaders on our health caregivers, health workers is so high also because napatunayan naman, no, napakasipag ng mga Pilipino pag nandun sa ibang bansa.
However, with the demand for nurses abroad, the Philippines is facing a shortage of nurses.
Napakataas talaga ng demand ng Filipinos, not only for nurses but also for doctors. No? So on that note, talagang tayo din ang naging biktima dahil meron tayong kakulangan din ng mga ganitong klaseng professionals.
According to Dr. Rodjin Solante, the president of the Philippine College of Physicians, Filipino nurses choose to work abroad due to better opportunities.
Ang nangyari ngayon, because of the more lucrative offer sa bansa, mga benefit mataas, talagang mga graduates natin talagang pupunta yan sa ibang bansa.
Meanwhile, the Commission on Higher Education stated that they have already presented their short, medium, and long-term solutions regarding this problem to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. These solutions include providing reskilling through short courses.
Kung pagsasabay-sabay lahat itong intervention na ito, mas madali nating magawa ng solusyon. Like for example, if you have the healthcare associates, healthcare assistants, if the nurses are deloaded of some of the work they do, they can focus on patient care to cover more patients. So yung number of nurses na kailangan mo, mas mamamanage mo.
Meanwhile, President Marcos mentioned that the Department of Health is currently seeking solutions to address this matter. Gladys Tawabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Justice, or DOJ, recommended the filing of charges against high-profile inmate Jad Dera and 6 security personnel of the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI. This is after authorities discovered Dera was allegedly able to go in and out of the NBI detention center. DOJ indicted NBI security officer Randy Godoy for violation of Article 223 of the revised penal code, or infidelity in the custody of prisoners. Dera and 5 other NBI security personnel are in violation of Article 156 of the same law for the delivery of prisoners from jail. Dera's legal counsel, attorney Raymond Palad, on the other hand, said he has yet to review the resolution. But the DOJ statement corroborates that there was no evidence of the previous complaint of bribery or corruption involving public officials.
Meanwhile, the Commission on Elections, or Comelec, is planning to annul the existing national list of registered voters, or NLRV, before the 2022 national and local elections. Dante Amento tells us what.
Commission on Elections or Comelec Chairman George Erwin Garcia said it is high time for them to have a new database of registered voters. Garcia is eyeing to annul the entire national list of registered voters after the 2025 midterm elections. Through this, all double or multiple registrants and other unnecessary records will also be deleted, after which a general registration will be conducted for all qualified registered voters. It would also allow the Commission to update their biometrics data to include facial and even voice.
Alam niyo po kung ano ang pinakamatanda na fingerprints na meron kami? 2003. So how do you counter-check the fingerprint of one as against the 68 million that we have right now? 92 million pa yan kasama SK.
But Garcia admitted that it needs a legislation for budgetary purposes.
If only we can annul the list of voters and conduct a general registration of voters in preparation for the 2028 elections. So kakailanganin ng Comelec ng budget. Nagkaroon na tayo dati ng annulment of the entire list of voters, kaya tayo nagkaroon ng registration ng 2003. General registration of voters, diba? Meron tayong ganon. Kaya lang, ang tagal na nun, as against dun sa present na fingerprint namin, pagkatapos AFIS.
The poll body hopes the proposal would be realized in preparation for the 2028 national and local elections. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police, or PNP, is set to release the 5 Chinese suspects allegedly behind the operations of a suspected illegal Philippine offshore gaming operator, or POGO, in Las Piñas City last July 26. They will be freed in compliance with the release order of the Department of Justice, or DOJ, last July 3 for preliminary investigation. The 5 Chinese nationals are Li Jiacheng, Xiao Liu, Yan Jiayong, Duan Haoshuang, and LP Hongkun. The legal officer of the anti-cybercrime group said that the 5 Chinese nationals are yet to be fetched or received by a representative or their counsel. PNP Public Information Office Chief Police Brigadier General Red Maranan said that the PNP is coordinating with their legal counsel so they can turn them over. Meanwhile, PNP spokesperson Police Colonel Jean Fajardo said that they have requested the Bureau of Immigration to take the 5 Chinese into custody because they don't have passports or proper identification documents.
Ito pong 5 respondent na kinasuhan po ng human trafficking at violation po ng cybercrime laws ay wala pong mga pasaporte at mga dokumento. Kaya sumulat po tayo sa BID para i-take into custody po nila ito pong 5 respondents po.
The legal counsel of Xinjiang Network Technology Incorporated is set to fetch the 5 Chinese nationals tomorrow.
A lawmaker is hopeful that the Philippine offshore gaming operators, or POGO, will soon be banned in the Philippines following the recent incidents involving POGO hubs. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
Senator Sherwin Gatchalian is optimistic that the government will finally stop and prohibit the operations of Philippine offshore gaming operators, or POGOs, in the country. This comes after the police raided a POGO hub in Las Piñas City for alleged human trafficking, in which several foreign nationals were also identified as fugitives. The lawmaker believes crime syndicates use legitimate POGOs as fronts. Gatchalian claims no less than President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. expressed concern on POGO operations in the country during their meeting last month.
I think very close, no? May public sentiment against POGO. Makikita natin dun sa survey, almost as high as 70% ay takot at ayaw sa POGO. With this recent incidents, I'm sure tataas pa yan. Nakita ko na nababahala siya dito sa sitwasyon dahil nga peace and order na at buhay na yung katapat natin.
The Senate Committee on Ways and Means, headed by Gatchalian, investigated the effects of POGOs in the country's economy amid its social costs. The lawmaker says he sent a copy of the chairman's report to the Office of the President in April for them to study the committee's recommendations. For such, the Senate panel recommends for the Labor Department to ensure jobs for POGO workers who will be displaced by the impending ban. Gatchalian emphasizes that the decision to ban POGOs rests in the hands of the Executive Department.
Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, Ukraine is seeking clarity over its membership to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization alliance, but NATO leaders are not expected to give clear preconditions in its two-day summit. Annie Reyes will tell us why. Good evening, Annie.
Good evening, Kathy. Leaders of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, are set to hold a crucial summit in Lithuania to discuss further support for Ukraine and the future direction of its membership. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky recognizes that NATO cannot formally accept their country's membership into the alliance while the war is raging, as the organization will be obliged to defend it as a member who is under attack, as per Article 5 of its treaty. However, the president is requesting a clear signal from NATO to join the alliance when the war ends. With an explicit timeline and how it could be accomplished, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg spoke at the pre-NATO summit, stating the expectation that the alliance leaders will reaffirm Ukraine's membership, as well as new plans, security guarantees, and provision of more weapons and ammunition to help deter Russian aggression.
First, we will agree a multi-year program of assistance to ensure full interoperability between the Ukrainian armed forces and NATO. Second, we will upgrade our political ties by establishing the NATO-Ukraine Council. And third, I expect ally leaders will reaffirm that Ukraine will become a member of NATO and unite on how to bring Ukraine closer to its goal.
The alliance is also offering a reform pathway for Ukraine's efforts towards membership, which simplifies its eventual accession bid rather than follow a complete formal roadmap. Meanwhile, Kathy, NATO's 31 nations remain divided and reluctant over going beyond Ukraine's near-automatic membership. Some argue that the arrangement could be incentivized by Russia to escalate and prolong the war. Kathy?
Thank you, Annie Reyes, reporting live from Singapore. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Kathy. For those watching our live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. An ex-barangay chairman in Pasay City is allegedly the mastermind behind the Abiad shooting incident. He was pointed out by the gunman recently apprehended by the Quezon City Police District. JP Nunez will tell us why.
The Quezon City Police District, or QCPD, has nabbed one of the gunmen in shooting incident to photojournalist Joshua Abiad last July 7, Friday in Muntinlupa City. He was alias Bingbong, who was seen on the CCTV footage, took a shot on the side of the Ford Everest that Abiad family was on board. He will be charged with illegal possession of firearms and explosive, murder and frustrated murder. Recovered from alias Bingbong are the jogging pants, rubber shoes, and a sling bag he wore during the incident. A gun, bullets, and grenade was also recovered from the suspect. According to QCPD District Director Police Brigadier General Nicolas de Torre III, they backtrack hundreds of CCTV footages to find lead to the suspect for his arrest.
Ito ang shoes nyo, at yan ang jogging pants nyo. Unmistakable naman, ano? Arrested namin yan. Nakuha namin pati itong damit niya and arrested siya with a firearm and isang granada na ngayon ay nasa pangangalaga na ng ating EOD.
Based on the suspect's link diagram presented by the QCPD, there are 7 suspects who are still involved in the crime. The alleged mastermind is a former barangay captain in Pasay City who have been previously arrested by the National Bureau of Investigation. He was also known as Captain Nanad.
Lahat na ito ay under manhunt na, nagkawalaan na, nawala na ang kanilang mga Facebook nawala na rin ang kanilang mga contacts kung paano namin hanapin. So nagtago na lahat ng mga to.
The QCPD has a lead into the motives of the mastermind.
Personal grudge ng ex-barangay captain because Josh is supposedly associated with people who are always lambasting the ex-barangay captain, and it appears na si ex-barangay captain, ang paniniwala niya, si Josh ang source ng information na yun.
Meanwhile, the suspect admits the crime. He is willing to cooperate with the authorities for the arrest of his cohorts. He was just given directives of the middleman and he doesn't know the real intention of the crime.
Asagasa po.
Sino?
Binayad po. Nasa narinig ko.
Magkano binayad sa inyo?
Ang binayad po, 100,000 po. Bali, binigay niya lang ako ng 15,000. Tumatayo po ako ng star witness na lahat sila mahuhuli. Lahat po sila mahuli. Dahil kilala na po sila. Lahat po, kilala na po. Kahit magtago po sila, kahit saan sila pumunta, mahuhuli. Lahat po. Kilalang kilala.
Ilan ba kayo? Ilan ba kayo?
Kilalang kilala na po.
JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Department of Education or DepEd, led by Secretary and Vice President Sara Duterte, laid out their plans to improve the education system in the country. Nel Maribohok reports.
The Department of Education is determined to push the institutionalization of the blended learning as a permanent mode of education delivery. According to DepEd spokesperson Undersecretary Michael Poa, they presented this during their meeting with President Marcos Jr.
We presented yung ating ring plan to institutionalize blended learning, for example, in the Philippines as a permanent mode of delivery. We feel that alongside yung traditional solutions natin of hiring more teachers, building more classrooms to address the shortages, hindi po kasi mabilis o hindi nagagawa yan overnight. That's why these problems are still with us today.
Yusek Powa said before implementing the blended learning, DepEd has to make sure that the program to be adopted is effective to ensure quality education. In carrying out the program, the DepEd officials said they will be looking at best practices even in the private sector to ensure that blended learning, once it is implemented, will not affect the quality of education. As part of the measures to improve the quality of education, Yusek Powa said the review on K-10 curriculum has already concluded.
Doon sa K-10 review, since tapos na tayo doon, ang feedback naman ng mga experts natin ay highly congested kasi yung current K-10 natin. Ibig sabihin nun, napakaraming kailangan matutunan ng learners na learning competencies within a school year. Napakarami rin kailangan ituro ng mga guro within a school year, which makes mastery of these subjects very difficult.
The review of the K-10 curriculum started during the previous administration, while the curriculum review of grade 11 to 12 or senior high school began in November 22. Consultations with experts are being held to identify which areas need to be focused on. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Water Resources Management Office aims to reduce the water consumption of government agencies in anticipation of the adverse effects of the El Niño phenomenon in the country. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Environment Undersecretary Carlos Primo David is confident that water bills of government agencies are expected to make difference in the following months. This after they traced leakages in some water facilities installed, especially in old buildings.
For one of the biggest accounts, the computed leaks that we are seeing is roughly around 50%. And therefore, yung bill nila, ang totoo dapat dyan ay kalahati lang. I guess, parang generalize that about 50% is lost in the leaks in old government buildings.
The official is now the head of the newly formed Water Resource Management Office or WRMO. From the name itself, it is tasked to manage the water supply in the country in anticipation of the adverse effects of the El Niño phenomenon. The WRMO is now conducting inspections in government agencies to see how they can help reduce their water consumption. Yusek David said that they have even discovered a government agency that pays around 10 to 17 million pesos per month just for water bills. They advised the agency to install sub-meters to identify which building consumes more water.
Yung sinasabi kong 17 million or 15 million na bill per month, these are government compounds, no, which include 20-30 buildings inside. Kaya lang, iisa lang yung metro nila para dun sa buong compound na yun.
For computation, a urinal consumes 3 liters of water per minute if it runs continuously 24 hours a day.
Kung may isa lang na urinal na ganito, na may leak, o kaya yung toilet na hindi sumara ng mabuti yung valve, that would come out to be something like 18,000 pesos extra per month, no, for each and every urinal or toilet that's faulty.
However, Yusek David mentioned that small government units should also be checked to see how they consume water.
For example, barangay halls with just a few staff members will have water bills upwards of 100,000 pesos. No, so alam natin na meron talagang leaks dyan na kailangan nating pagtuunan ng pansin. Imagine kung meron kang several, no, 100 ng barangay halls na gano'n ang bill, malaki-laki na rin yung nasasayang na tubig.
Yusek David added that they plan to incentivize agencies that save on bills due to water conservation. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Budget and Management, or DBM, has approved the release of 48.4 million pesos to the Department of Health, or DOH. This funding is allocated for the completion of additional construction works of the Drug Abuse Treatment Rehabilitation Center, or DATRC, in 13 Martires, Cavite. DBM Secretary Amena Pangandaman stated that they prioritize the rehabilitation of victims or drug users. The agency added that the fund will be chargeable under FY 2023 of the General Appropriations Act.
In other news, Johannesburg, which is South Africa's largest city, experienced a surprising snowfall on Monday, July 10, marking the first in over a decade. While certain regions of South Africa typically receive snow during the winter months from June to August, Johannesburg's last witnessed snowfall is August 2012. Residents were pleasantly surprised by the uncommon sight, with some children even seeing snow for the first time. Social media buzzed with descriptions of the snow as pure magic, hectic, and a wonderful start of the week by Johannesburg residents. However, a physical geography professor at the University of Witwatersrand, Jennifer Fischett, explained to South Africa's Times newspaper that snowfall was not likely to last, stating that it is only due to increased humidity, cold temperatures, and a cold wind. According to climatology professor Francois Engelbrecht from the University of Witwatersrand, Johannesburg experiences snowfall approximately once every 5 years. Weather Service meteorologist Wayne Benter dismissed claims linking the snowfall to climate change, stating that the conditions were not exceptional. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kathy Navarro, live from Vietnam. Good evening.
The House of Representatives eyes the return of mandatory physical attendance for sessions and hearings of lawmakers once the government announced the lifting of public health emergency in the country. Janice and Henta will tell us why.
following the plan of the Department of Health or DOH to recommend to the Office of the President the lifting of the public health emergency in the country. The House of Representatives is now eyeing the return of the mandatory face-to-face attendance of lawmakers in the plenary sessions and committee hearings. According to House Secretary General Reginald Velasco, they will act accordingly once the pandemic emergency is lifted.
And the time comes when the pandemic is over, officially declared by the Office of the President, then the Department of Health agrees with it, then Congress will abide by that. You know, we will lift also the pandemic emergency here. That means face-to-face will be back hopefully by the start of August.
It was noted that the lower house canceled hearings and sessions following the first COVID-19 case was recorded in the country last March 2020. HOR also implements work from home setup for lawmakers during the surge of COVID-19 and gradually implemented the hybrid setup or a combination of physical and distance committee hearings. Strict health protocols have also been implemented for those who will physically attend hearings, such as wearing a face mask and face shield, physical distancing, and a negative RT-PCR result was also required.
We have already started here, no? And some committees have already implemented yung face-to-face, no? Kasi yung committee, smaller groups, so some congressmen and congresswomen are safer, no? In committee hearings or committee gatherings, kasi konti lang yung participants. Pero sa session hall, that's another story, you know?
Velasco said, aside from mandatory physical attendance, they are also studying the lifting of the requirement to present a negative antigen test result. Janice and Hente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
To achieve the Department of Tourism's target of 10 million incoming tourists in the country, the Philippine Ports Authority, or PPA, plans to build larger ports to accommodate international cruise ships arriving in the country. According to PPA General Manager Jay Santiago, they will cooperate with the DOT for the full construction of ports under the Build More program of the administration of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. One of the large ports in Siargao will open in October to accommodate and attract more tourists in and out of the country. In addition to Siargao, the Curimao Port and the Salomagi Port in Ilocos Norte and the Coron Port in Palawan will also be enlarged. The authorities are also looking for locations for large cruise terminals in Boracay, Panglao Island in Bohol, and Camiguin Island. In addition to the construction of large cruise ship terminals, roll-on, roll-off or ro-ro vessel ports will also be repaired and expanded in the provinces to avoid congestion of passing ships.
In coordination with the Department of Tourism, we have to open more access points for tourists. And that is why, other than yung ginagawa na natin matagal na sa PPA na opening up cargo terminals and domestic passenger terminals also, we're also concentrating now on opening up exclusively dedicated cruise terminals for foreign cruise ships.
The Philippine Ports Authority, or PPA, will replace the comment drop boxes placed at ports across the country where users drop their comments regarding their service experience at the ports. Earlier today, July 11, the agency launched Pulso, which stands for Port Users and Locator Satisfaction Outlook, where port users can send their ratings digitally by using Pulso kiosks to be placed at all port terminals in the country. According to attorney Jay Santiago, PPA General Manager, they will set up over 120 kiosks in all seaports where those who want to give feedback can fill out forms. The initiative aims to address emerging problems faced by port users.
What we want is a digital platform by which we can consolidate itong customer feedback so that we can have the data and then analyze where the services or the infrastructure sa mga PPA terminals natin will need to be improved.
Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the various challenges and uncertainties, we are inviting everyone to join the Global Prayer for Humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time through the social media accounts of the Members Church of God International.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 9, verse 7, it says, "Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver." And those are the reasons behind the news, July 11, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.